And what are we talking about in terms of talent and resources? Here's one striking statistic: 4 million. Many Americans don't realize that over 4 million veterans have transitioned from the armed services since the end of the first Gulf War. 4 million. This is a great deal of talent being infused into the workforce at a rate of 1,000 continuing every workday. The problem is, even though this group represents a college alumni-like network of vast potential, we don't know what has happened to these 4 million. Our solution: an ongoing national Veterans Across America employment survey, which will for the first time status the 4 million in the workforce, and more importantly, Mr. Chairman, create a network, an employment lifeline for others, a connective linkage. Here, by the way, are two things we do know about our military before they exited. Interestingly, they're highly educated, as we know. More than 35,000 hold PhDs. 108,000 hold master's degrees. 250,000 of this 4 million have undergraduate degrees, and an astounding 90%, 3.5 million out of the 4 million, hold high school degrees. And for those companies wanting to embrace diversity, fully 43% are women and people of color. So those corporate entities embracive of diversity who want to build a demographically diverse, balanced workforce have to only turn to transitioning and prior service military for this great resource. And let's not forget, as you have mentioned before and this morning, we spend $17 billion a year of taxpayer money to train the members of our armed services. So as a business group, as with any investment, we seek to achieve the highest possible ROI, return on investment. As part of our proposed solution, Veterans Across America, with PeopleSoft, who will testify here in a bit, is creating a software and supply chain engine which will enable companies to make a direct connection with this talent. This solution, Mr. Chairman, I believe can succeed now because we are at a watershed moment when there is a powerful and positive connection between the American people and our military. All of this can be accomplished if we stay passionate about our mission. As stated, it's a movement. It's a veteran social movement. And we must stay the course, Mr. Chairman, and continue on the big idea, branding a veteran. Finally, to achieve these goals, we need sufficient resources. So I call upon the members of this committee and the corporate and business talent in this room to band together in a partnership to provide these resources. When we succeed, and we will succeed, both our national defense and our national economy will be enhanced because, Mr. Chairman, I believe they're inextricably connected. I thank you, sir.
Wes Poriotis, thank you for your vision and for your testimony and for energizing this committee the way you have and Veterans Across America. As you know, we're working on legislation right now that would basically be a Veterans Across America bill, and I know you've seen it. We hope to introduce that very shortly. We're working out some technical aspects to it, but hopefully very, very soon.
In the Harvard business class of 49, 700 MBAs graduated. 92% of these individuals had served. Lawrence Summer, the new president of Harvard, lamented in the 2002 graduation comments that only 2 out of that class had served, which is less than 1%. So you have, again, a distancing and a dichotomy between what was and what is now in existence. That has to change only through a behavioral change and education. If you look at the statistics of underemployment and unemployment, underemployment hasn't been quantified, it's anecdotal, but it may surpass by 3 or 4 times the unemployment. And the unemployment hasn't been determined because at least half to 3/4 of those in the workforce who are veterans haven't been statused. The 20 to 24-year-old group of minority women, there's 15,000 that have come out. They've got a 23.9% unemployment, but 7,000 out of the 15,000 don't even show up in the statistics. We don't know what's happened to them, sir, and I think we have to find out. One point of recommendation, as you talked about placement, I think this committee could have a sea change in positioning veterans if they task the Labor Department's Veterans Employment and Training Service with placing veterans. I find it remarkable that we're spending $300 million a year and have 3,000 persons within the states who are tasked to place and to help position veterans, and yet there isn't a performance criteria for them to place. just recently the performance criteria was handed down that they even meet the local employer. So they're neither branded with a local employer, they don't meet the local employer until rarely, and then they're not tasked to place. I think if you task these individuals to place these individuals and use that as a performance criteria for their status, you would find an incredible difference within the states. On the issue of, going to your question on the issue of the disparity in compensation, position, and title based on those of color from the military with majority, there is a distinct difference. And that's why we call upon this committee to support our initiative to have a Minority Veterans Resource Center. Because I believe that it's not so much overt as it's reflective of what one individual said as we studied this problem. We don't, and this individual had run the Army's personnel, General Evan Gaddis. He said, we don't need more resume writing, more charm school, and more dress for success. We need advocacy and we need a network. So I think that reflective of the problem with military of color, the lack of advocacy and a lack of network and a linkage to those in the private and corporate sector is distinctly reflective of the acute underemployment and the acute unemployment.